Welcome to your mindful movement session. Just giving yourself a moment to really settle in now and to allow any distracting thoughts, concerns, or to do lists just to sit by the side of the mat, giving yourself this time to be completely present for your practice right here and right now. Allowing your mind to meander now through your body from the top of your head all the way down to your toes. And just becoming aware of places in your body that might be holding on to a sense of tension or tightness or fatigue, old or new injury. And noticing too where you're feeling the opposite way, where there might be a sense of vibrancy, of strength, and of spaciousness in your body. Acknowledging that opposites are always present in your body and welcoming everything about how you are physically, just as it is right now. Connecting to your breathing now and just witnessing the sense of expansion and softness that fills the body each time you breathe in. And witnessing as you're letting the breath go, that gentle consolidation through the midline of the body. Being present to the pauses that are there in the breathing, at the top of the inhalation, at the end of the exhalation. Allowing yourself to be present in all four parts of the breath as you're breathing it. Every exhale you take, grounding, feeling a little more connected to the earth. Every inhale, an opportunity to expand into the energy that is around the body and draw this in. Setting an intention for the practice today to cultivate a sense of being grounded and to also intentionally invite radiance into the body, to tap into the energy that surrounds you and draw in its goodness. Grounded, radiant, and able to flow with life. And when you're ready, let's heel toe the feet back to the middle of the mat again. And we'll lift the right foot off the floor, sending the leg into the air and making little circles now with the ankle, pointing and flexing the foot and opening out through the toes, bringing as much engagement as you can into all aspects of your foot in movement. And then moving in the opposite direction as well, and just noticing what might be different when you change directions, or perhaps what other muscles through the legs are recruited to support the movement. Then taking a deeper bend at the knee, and we'll make circles from the hip now. These might be really tiny, or they might be broader. They might be asymmetrical. They might be perfectly round, and Again, just handing over to the body to lead you. And changing directions and witnessing what might be different when you go the other way. Maybe your body wants to do a different shape or size in these circles, or maybe there is a sense of clunkiness or smoothness that wasn't present before. Just noticing the information without judging it. And then going the opposite way. And returning that right foot to the mat again. We'll do the same with the left leg, making little circles from the ankle, the leg raised, opening out the toes, pointing, flexing the foot. Going in the opposite direction now. Noticing what's different when you change directions. And then taking a deeper bend at the knee, and we'll make circles from the hip now. Handing over to your body to lead you again as to the size and the shape of the circles you're making. And then changing direction and just being the witness to what is different when you go the other way. Without putting any judgment on that information, just noticing it. And then changing direction one last time, a few circles here. And then we'll lift the right foot off the mat and let the right leg join in. So we're making circles with the whole pelvis now. And they could be tiny, they could be broad. Your knees might be right up and into the chest, or your knees might be further away. Change directions now. And then come back to center, resting your feet on the floor. And now we'll gather up the right leg, taking your hands over your shin or over your knee, or maybe behind your thigh, whatever feels best for you. Let's take a minute to find our neutral spine position, finding a little space between the lower back and the floor. And then we're going to start to slide the left foot away, and paying attention as always to any sense of grabbing or tingling or weirdness through the left side. If that's present, then please bend your left leg instead. And keeping your spine in that neutral position, let's now work with the breathing. As we're guiding the right thigh into the chest, we're breathing out. And when you're breathing in, imagine you can breathe all the way down to the toes of the left foot and all the way up to the top of the shoulder as we lengthen and release through the deep front line on the left side. Bringing your attention to the big toe of your left foot, and then moving up through the ankle, up the inner calf to the knee, up the inner thigh to the hip joint, and then following the psoas muscle up to the sternum as we release through the deep front line, as we release the psoas in particular, which is where we tend to hold a lot of tension in the body when we're holding it in our minds. The psoas often kicks into gear and takes on that tension for us. So taking one more breath in here, and then when you exhale, curl up. Imagine drawing the pubic bone to the navel and lower down as you breathe in. Curling up on your exhalation and lowering down as you breathe in. So continuing to move, following your breathing, moving at your pace, with that focus on the lower abdominal wall in action. So you might close your eyes in order to help the body lead from the lower abdomen rather than leading from the eyes and the head, as is often the way. And the next time your head comes back down to the mat, let's bend the left leg again, resting the foot on the mat. Take the right hand over the right knee, the left hand goes to the middle of the left thigh, and we're going to press into the left thigh as we draw the right thigh in towards the chest. And now we're flattening the back against the floor, really pressing down with the middle and lower back, releasing tension from across the crest of the pelvis, maybe imagining a valve at your lumbar spine and that you're breathing in and out of this area directly. And then releasing from this when you're ready, resting your right foot back down on the mat. Let's take a little windscreen wiper action with the knees just to reset the spine. And then come back to center again. This time we'll gather up the left leg, taking a moment to revisit your neutral spine position. And then we'll start to slide the right foot away, straightening out the right leg. Again, noticing if there's any weirdness going on the right side. If that's in play, then it's better to keep the right leg bent. And we return to the breathing again, guiding the left thigh into the chest as you're breathing out. And when you're breathing in, imagine breathing right down to the toes of your right foot and all the way up to the top of the shoulder, as we fill the right side of the body with a sense of expansion and length, releasing through the deep front line and releasing through the psoas in particular, letting go of tension that we're holding on to. Bringing your attention to the big toe of your right foot, ankle, through the inner calf to the knee, through the inner thigh to the hip joint. And then following the psoas up to the sternum, letting go of tension in that deep front line. Take one more breath in here. And then when you exhale, let's curl up. Again, draw the pubic bone to the navel, lower down as you breathe in. Curling up on the exhale, the eyes closed or soft. Lowering as you breathe in. Continuing at your own pace, the movement being led from the lower part of the abdomen. And when your head comes back down to the mat next time, let's bend the right leg, resting the foot on the floor. The right hand goes to the middle of the right thigh, left hand over the top of the left knee. And we're going to press into the right thigh as we draw the left thigh in towards the chest. Flattening the back against the floor now, pressing down through the middle and lower back, releasing tension through the crests of the pelvis. Breathing directly in and out of this area with your mind's eye, offering the soft, expansive qualities of prana and breath into anywhere holding tension. And then releasing from this, bringing your foot back to the mat, and we'll take a little windscreen wiper action with the knees again to reset. Come back to center and open your arms wide now, the palms facing the ceiling. You have the arms just a little lower than shoulder height, so we're not bringing tension into the shoulders. Going to lift the feet off the floor now. Take a breath in here. And then when you exhale, drop your knees towards the right side. And you might choose to gaze to the ceiling. You might direct your gaze towards the left if that's okay for your neck. Keeping the hips and the knees and the ankles stacked. And continuing to kind of slide the left hand away to create a little more space in the left side of the rib cage to open the breath up there. The left shoulder being drawn towards the earth. And you might just notice that if you play with the direction of your gaze, there could be a little more scope to have a better movement in the shoulder towards the earth. Maybe having your head in a more neutral position will facilitate the shoulder opening a bit more. Or maybe gazing towards the fingers of your left hand is more helpful. Just really letting your attention be present in the shoulder, in the twist, the whole spine in agreement as you hold the shape. When you're ready, come back to center. And then let's take our knees to the other side, to the left. And gazing to the ceiling or directing your gaze to the right now, the hips and the knees and the ankles stacked. Easing your right shoulder towards the earth, opening up a little more space in the right side of the rib cage. And again, just notice if perhaps changing where you're directing your gaze will affect what you're able to do with your shoulder, whether it's going to be more comfortable to have it a little closer to the earth, or whether you want to elevate it a little bit, remembering that every time we practice, we honor the body just as we find it without forcing or pushing anything. It's all about being curious, inquiring, and responding with kindness and intelligence. Taking one more round of breath here. And then let's come back to center again. And a little windscreen wiper action again with the knees just to reset. So let's now lengthen out down the middle of the mat, ready for banana pose, and just checking where you are by spreading your fingers out either side of your thighs. And if you're not quite in the middle of the mat, just taking yourself there now. And we'll begin by lifting the head and the shoulders up and bringing these to the right edge of your mat. And maybe you want to leave your feet just where they are today, or if you feel like it, you could walk your feet over to the right side as well, either resting them side by side or resting your left foot on your right ankle. Just checking the pelvis is placed really evenly. And then with your left hand, it might stay by the hip, or you might take it out to the side of the body. You might even trace the floor overhead with your fingertips. And we'll bring a little gentle movement to the head to work out where your neck wants to be today. And then inch the fingers of the right hand towards the knee as we arrive in whatever banana pose might look like for you on this side. Opening up the side body to allow us to let go of ama, releasing anger, confusion, distress, doubt, and sadness, and making space for the things that will serve you today and through this week. A sense of being grounded, of being clear and vibrant. And if your arm is in the mix, we can lower that back down again now. And then we'll bring the feet back to the middle of the mat. And last of all, the head and the shoulders come back to the middle. And we just take a moment now to stop and observe the body. Witnessing the left side and the right side. Noticing perhaps the left side might feel a bit brighter or larger as we've been directing prana through that side in the shape. The right side might feel quiet or small or dark. Or maybe there's some other sensations that are present for you, just witnessing what's there. And then we'll take our banana pose to the other side. So lift the head and the shoulders up, bring these to the left edge of your mat, keeping the hips nice and neutral. And then maybe if you want to, you can walk your feet to the left side as well, resting them side by side or placing your right foot on your left ankle. Check in with your pelvis again. And then with your right hand, it might stay by the hip. It could come out to the side. You might even trace the floor overhead with your fingertips. Arriving in your banana pose on this side. Bringing a little movement to the head to let your neck find a comfortable position and inching the fingers of the left hand towards the knee. Opening up the side body again, this time the right side, as we release ama, willingly and happily letting go of any stagnant energy, of anything that isn't serving us, to create more space, to get grounded, to get clear, and find vibrancy. If your arm is in the mix, let's lower that back down again now. And then we'll bring the feet back to the middle. Last of all, the head and the shoulders come to the middle. And we just stop to observe the body again. Paying attention to what might be different now. We've evened up both sides. Maybe there's a sense of brightness and expansion through both sides of the body as you rest here. Maybe your attention is drawn to somewhere that is gripping or holding, and you can direct your breath there with your mind's eye. And then when you're ready, bend your knees and we'll set up for desk pose next. So we'll have a little space in between the feet. Maybe they're parallel or maybe they're splayed out just a little bit. You want to make contact with the 3 points of support in your feet, under your big toe, under your pinky, and under the heel of each foot. Really pressing into those 3 points of support and noticing when you do that, that when they're engaged, the arches of the feet have a little bit more vibrancy about them, a little bit more lift. And we also are able to better use our legs to support us in the movement in desk pose when we're engaged in the feet, and that helps us not overtax the lower back. When you're ready, breathe in and lift the hips and the chest into the air, taking your arms overhead or wide. Begin to breathe out and then slowly peel the spine back down to the floor. So breathing in, lifting the hips and the chest into the air, the arms overhead or wide. And slowly peeling yourself back down after you start to breathe out. continuing to move in and out of the shape, following your breath. And the next time you come into your elevated position, let's hold in desk pose. We're going to bring the arms back down, pressing the palms into the mat and firing up through the back of the shoulders, the upper arms and forearms, really feeling that framework for the position. Pressing into the 3 points of support in your feet again and engaging through the calves, through the thighs, through the glutes and the abdominal wall, really noticing the load of the pose being distributed very evenly through the body here. Keep the face soft, the throat soft. And you might leave things just as they are. Or if you want to, you can raise your left leg into the air and point your toes towards the ceiling. We want to keep very even through the hip points and press into your foundations, even imagining roots drawing down into the earth from your arms and from your supporting foot. And then return that foot to the floor. We can do the same on the other side if you want to, raising your right leg up into the air, pointing towards the ceiling with your toes, keeping the hips even, and really pressing down through the shoulders, the arms, and your supporting leg. And then returning your right foot to the floor, gently rolling yourself down now. You might like a little rocking or rolling. You might even like to curl up. Follow your body's lead, as always. And then come back to center again, releasing your feet to the floor. And we're going to drop the knees open wide now in butterfly pose. Bringing the soles of the feet together. You might rest your hands on your tummy now. And again, let the shoulders melt towards the earth. Even imagine smoothing across the top ribs of the rib cage, creating a little bit more space to breathe. And noticing here a little space between the lower back and the floor that is more pronounced than a neutral spine. Being in a little bit of a back bend here. And this is a resting pose, but is also one that invites vibrancy into the body. So when we're feeling a little bit flat, a little bit lacking in energy, this is a really nice one to return to because we are able to rest in the shape. But energetically, it serves us to build our reserves of vibrancy. The breath soft through the whole of the abdomen, soft into the hip creases and the inner thighs. And when you're exhaling, imagine the hip points coming together and the bottom ribs coming together as the breath leaves you. Opening up into softness again as you breathe in. And as you hold the shape, notice if you might be gripping anywhere as you're holding it. Letting that sense of gripping go as you just surrender to the nourishing energy of butterfly pose. And then take a hold of the outer edges of your mat now, leaving your knees and feet as they are. And when you breathe in next, raise your hips into the air and pull the mat away from the crown, Pressing down with the back of the shoulders and the arms and floating the hips and the heart in the air. And imagine each side of your pelvis dropping away freely from the sacrum in between in flying butterfly. Take one more breath in here. And then when you're ready, let go of the mat and release your back in one piece to the floor. Lift your feet off the mat. And again, you might like to rock or to roll or to curl up. Follow your body's lead. Easing out any tension as you find it with gentle, intelligent movement. And then let's take happy baby next, sending the legs up into the air. You might hold onto your feet or your ankles. You might hold your calves or behind your thighs. We'll find a little bit of space between the feet now, maybe 70 centimeters or so, and press the back into the earth. Draw the shoulders down into the earth. Get a sense of flattening out against the floor. You might like a little movement. You might like to stay perfectly still in your happy baby. Again, just let your body lead you. And then releasing from this. And let's now roll over to the right side and come up onto all fours. And we'll sit up in our cat pose. So as always, placing the shoulders well for weight bearing, we're going to have a little bit of a bend in the elbows, scooping the elbow tips together, and then be aware of the the elbow creases rather, facing the top end of your mat. Lengthening out from the crown to the tailbone now. And let's breathe in here in cat. And then when you exhale, move to cow pose, tucking the chin and tailbone under. Returning to cat again, lifting your gaze this time. And then exhaling to child's pose, letting all your breath go there. Returning to cat again, breathing in, finding neutral. Exhaling to cow pose as you exhale, as you breathe out. Moving to cat again, lifting your gaze. And surrendering to child's pose on the exhale. Come back to cat again, breathing in. Move to cow as you breathe out. Return to cat, breathing in, lifting your gaze. Going back to child's pose, breathing out. This time come all the way up onto the knees, raising the arms high, breathing in. Send the arms behind the body as you exhale and place the hands at the back of your hips, pressing into the back of the pelvis, opening through the front of the chest. And rather than dropping your head back, keeping length through the back of the neck, finding space in the front of the throat, and breathing into every increment of your spine from the base of the tailbone right through to the top of your neck. Raise your arms again, breathing in, finding a neutral spine there, and then floating the hands back down to the mat, returning to cat. Exhale to cow pose, curling under. Return to cat again, lifting your gaze, and moving on to child's pose, breathing out. Come all the way up onto your knees again, making a big circle around the body. Sweep the arms behind the body as you exhale, hands to the back of the pelvis again, pressing into the pelvis. Lift the gaze, lengthen through the neck, open through the chest in this supported camel pose, one that brings radiant energy into our bodies. And really feel your knees, your shins and your feet making contact with the earth here, being grounded and finding space for vibrancy too. Raise your arms again, breathing in a neutral spine now. Float your hands down to the mat. Breathe in your cat. Move to cow pose. Return to cat again, breathing in. And then move to child's pose. Let's open the knees quite wide this time. Bring your head all the way down to the floor. And let the weight of your head either rest into the floor or your block. Opening the breath up into the back of the body here. Finding a little more space in the back of the rib cage and the sides of the ribs. And then let's take the right arm and thread it through and under the left arm, resting the right side of your face down on the floor. And then sweeping your left arm behind the body. So we're going to just gently coax the left shoulder back, bringing a little bit more of a twist into the upper back. Breathe into the space between the shoulder blades. And we'll untangle from this and do the same on the other side. So this time thread your left arm through and under your right one, resting the left side of the face down on the floor or your block. And then take your right arm behind the body, coaxing the right shoulder back, inviting just a little bit more of a twist in the upper body. And then untangle from this again. Press up onto all fours into cat position. Take a breath in there as we really lengthen out through the spine. Moving to cow pose and just holding in cow pose for a moment. You might even bring just a little bit of movement into it to just ease any tension out there. And then tuck your toes under. We're going to walk the hands back towards the knees and start to find ourselves in a low squat. So we're going to peel up really slowly, keeping quite a deep bend in the knees here. And when you're ready, letting your hands rest on your knees or shins. We'll take a half lift, lengthening through the spine, breathing in, and then fold as you breathe out. Take the hands to the hips, draw the elbow tips back, lead with the heart and come all the way to standing, raising your arms high. And then as you exhale, take a twist to the left, opening the arms wide and pressing into the earth. Raise your arms again, breathing in, and then twisting to the right now. Raise your arms again, breathing in. Drop your gaze to the floor and unfurl through the neck, the upper back, the middle and lower back into Uttanasana. Take a half lift on your next inhalation, breathing in, long spine. Fold as you breathe out. Take the hands to the hips, draw the elbow tips back, lead with the heart, come all the way to standing, raising the arms up. And then we'll twist to the right, pressing into the earth as we move the arms through the coronal plane. Breathing in through that plane again, twisting to the left side, inviting all the energy that's around your body to nourish you. Breathe in and raising arms again. Fold forward as you exhale, taking this one super, super slowly. as you release each and every vertebra into the forward fold. When you arrive there, let's soften the knees a little more, pedaling out through the feet a little. You might wrap your hands around opposite elbows or rest your hands on your legs or on the floor. Just finding a little bit more depth in the shape without forcing or pushing anything. And then hands to the knees or shins. Let's take a half lift again, breathing in. And then fold as you breathe out. Come all the way to standing, breathing in, taking a little back bend and finding yourself in mountain pose now. Palms together, shoulders soft and broad. The sides of the ribs open, pressing into the earth, really feeling into your foundations. And just witnessing yourself in this moment, grounded, steady and vital. Bring the hands to the heart now. And let's release the arms by the side of the body and step your left foot back. And we'll have a little bit of an angle in the left foot as well, directing hips and heart forward. Hands to the heart to begin. Breathe in, open your arms wide to warrior one, sending the heart forward. Exhale, hands to heart as we come out. Warrior one again, the arms moving through that radiant field of energy around you and drawing this energy into your heart as you come out. Raise your arms high now, breathing in. And then when you exhale, open to warrior two. So we're going to adjust that back foot a little more as we arrive in the shape and gaze over the fingers of your right hand. Let's soften the arms as if they're floating on the surface of water. And then when you breathe in next, reverse your warrior, taking your right arm overhead. And then as you exhale, move to side angle pose, your left arm overhead. We're going to flow between these two shapes with a strength and awareness in the feet and the legs to hold you grounded and strong as you let the upper body be resilient and soft and in flow. And the next time you find yourself in reverse warrior, let's hold in the shape there. Curling the ring finger under and wrapping your thumb around it, taking Surya Mudra, which allows us to tap into the elements of earth and fire to ground us, inspire us, and keep us bright. And then move to your warrior two again. Raise your arms high, straightening both legs, lifting the gaze. And then floating the arms down, lowering the gaze, moving the arms through that coronal plane again. Raise your arms up, breathing in. Move to warrior two now. So we'll breathe in and coax the left hip towards the back of your mat. And then let's move to Trikonasana. So your right hand might be inside your thigh or your knee or your shin. We can gaze to the ceiling or to the floor or somewhere in the middle. And again, let's take Surya Mudra, curling the ring finger under, wrapping the thumb around it, calling on the elements of earth and fire to support us in our practice and to support us through this next week. Come back to your warrior two now. Breathe in and raise both arms high, directing 10 toes forward. And then let's fold right through the middle. You might rest your hands on the floor, or on your knees or shins. We're just taking a little gentle movement here, easing out any tension you're holding. And then let your hands come back to the middle again. We'll pivot on both feet, walk the hands to the top of the mat, and step your feet together. Take a half lift as you breathe in next, and then fold as you breathe out. Take the hands to the hips, draw the elbow tips back, lead with the heart, come all the way to standing, arriving in mountain pose again. Soften the shoulders, dropping some of the load on your shoulders. Open into the side ribs and feel the earth underneath you supporting you. And we'll bring the hands to the heart. We'll step the right foot back. We arrive in our warrior on this side. So let's breathe in now. Open the arms wide through that coronal fill. Breathing in, warrior one. Exhale, drawing this brightness into your heart. Opening up again, warrior one, the arms wide. And drawing vitality into the heart as you come out. Raise your arms high this time in your warrior one. And then let's open up to warrior two. So again, we just adjust the right foot now. Soften the gaze over the fingers of the left hand and really steady up through both legs, both feet, letting them hold you quite evenly and in strength. Breathe in and reverse your warrior now, taking your left arm overhead and then moving to side angle pose as you exhale. Reversing your warrior again, breathing in, opening up the side body. And side angle pose follows. And we're flowing between these two shapes, grounded and strong, resilient and soft. And then when you next reverse your warrior, let's hold in the shape there. Curling the ring finger of the left hand under and wrapping your thumb around it in Surya Mudra, opening up the side body to let go of fear, of sadness, of grief, of confusion, and making space for clarity, a sense of groundedness and strength this week. And return to your warrior two now. Raise your arms high as you straighten both legs, lifting the gaze, and then floating the arms down through the energy that surrounds you. Raise your arms again, breathing in, moving to warrior two as you breathe out. And then we'll breathe in and coax the right hip towards the back of the mat and move to Trikonasana on this side. So your left hand inside your thigh or your knee or your shin. You might gaze towards the ceiling or the floor, somewhere in between. And we take Surya Mudra in the right hand, curling the ring finger under, wrapping the thumb around it, cultivating a sense of groundedness and vibrancy in the body. Return to your warrior two now. Raise both arms high and direct 10 toes forward. And then from here, let's move to fierce pose. So a wide-legged squat with Surya Mudra in both hands. Taking a moment just to play with your center of gravity, activating those 3 points of support in your feet. And when you find where you are most stable here, let's then get a sense of really pressing into the earth and at the same time letting the spine rise very tall. The crown floating towards the sun, the earth holding your feet and your legs grounded. Raise your arms again, breathing in, and let's fold right through the middle now, and then wrap the arms around the body as we twist towards the left. Raise your arms up again, breathing in, fold through the middle, and then twist towards the right, wrapping your arms around the body. Continuing with this, moving at the pace of your breathing, remembering we're folding first and then twisting. Moving through the energy that surrounds the body in the coronal plane and absorbing it into our systems as we move, lighting us up. And wherever you arrive next time, whatever side that might be, we're going to stay there for just a few breaths. Coaxing the heart towards the thigh, keeping the knees a little soft if you're feeling tension through the back of the legs. And then raise your arms up again, breathing in. And we'll move to the other side now and hold there for a few breaths. Raise your arms up again, breathing in. Fold all the way through the middle now. Let your hands find the mat. And then we'll pivot on both feet, walking your hands back to the top end of your mat. And from here, let's just move onto all fours into cat pose and take a few rounds of cat-cow. Inviting symmetry back into the body, led by the breath. And then moving through Ganesha pose next, swirling around, leading the body back, gliding it forward, closing your eyes. And imagine shining a spotlight internally and being curious about where tension is present. Shining light there, breathing into these places, offering the expansive, nourishing quality of the breath to anywhere in the body that's needing it. And when you're ready, find your way back to cat again. And then we'll roll over and back onto your back. And the knees bent, the arms outstretched. Lift your feet off the mat now. Let's take a little windscreen wiper action with your knees up and in close to your chest. And then as you take this movement, let the knees go further away from the chest. So we're kind of zigzagging from quite far away to quite close in, giving the whole of the back a lovely massage in the movement. And then making some circles with your pelvis again, just like we did at the beginning of class, taking them in one direction and then in the other. And then letting your knees drop to the right side, a lying twist as we gaze to the left and lengthen out to the ends of the fingertips of both hands. And as we did before, coaxing the left shoulder a little closer to the earth, maybe playing with where you're directing your gaze to see what's possible in the placement of your shoulder, to just stay curious about that as we open up through the chest, inviting vibrancy into the body and consolidating every time we breathe out. Come back to center again, and then drop your knees to the left side, gazing to the right, or gazing to the ceiling. And being curious about how we might place the right shoulder to open the chest a little more without forcing anything. And then come back to center again. And we'll finish with Apanasana, so hands on top of the kneecaps. Let's breathe in, send the knees and the feet away. Start to exhale and bring your knees into the chest. Sending the knees and feet away, breathing in. And the knees come into the chest as you breathe out. You might take your arms open wide as you send the legs away, and then wrap the arms around the body as you bring the knees in. So continuing to work with that energy in the coronal field just outside the body, drawing this in, nourishing your system with vibrancy. And letting this one be your last round of Apanasana. And then we'll prepare for relaxation. So you might like to take constructive rest position again with your feet wide, dropping your knees in together and letting the arms rest by the side of the body, the palms facing the ceiling. And really getting a sense of the lower back melting into the earth here. Shoulders broad, smoothing across the top ribs of the rib cage. The body a field of radiant sensation. Noticing all the points of contact your body is making with the earth right now. And even imagining roots growing down into the earth. Every time you let the breath go, an opportunity for your body to settle into the earth a little more and be held in your space. Seeing yourself being breathed by life itself. Absorbing the radiance around you, nourishing your system with prana every time the breath enters your body. And allowing yourself this time now to let the mind settle, to let the heart steady, and let the body rest. Giving yourself this time to just be. And in this state of deep relaxation, finding gratitude towards yourself for having taken time today to practice yoga, doing something nourishing and restorative just for you. And finding gratitude too for being in a healthy and agile body, able to breathe and move freely, to live where we do, and be able to make all the choices you can about the life you want to live. Bringing a little movement to your fingers and toes now, and deepening your breathing again. And when you're ready, drawing your knees up to your chest or taking a long stretch through the body. And then rolling over to the right side and taking a few moments there to reorient. And we'll find our way to a seated position to finish the practice when you're ready. Feeling the sitting bones drawing down towards the earth, and aware of all the points of contact your body is making with the earth right now. Maybe seeing roots growing down into the earth, drawing on all the nourishment of everything that supports us. As the spine rises tall, as vibrancy moves through your body, carried by the breath, and setting the intention of holding a sense of being grounded, being clear and vibrant with you as you move through the day and the week ahead. We'll bring the hands to the center of the forehead now, inviting inspiration, creativity, and wonder into our thoughts. Bring the hands to the throat, inviting kindness and gratitude into all of our words. And hands to the heart center as a reminder to move through all of our days with our hearts wide open, receptive to everything nourishing and beautiful in our world. And we'll close our practice now by chanting the sound of Om together, opening the arms wide as we breathe in and hands to heart as we chant. Thank you for practicing with me today. Have a beautiful day ahead. Namaste.